We are making a bechamel burger. This is inspired by Egypt's very own macarona bechamel, which is their bechamel pasta. Today I'm doing things a little bit differently and kind of just switching it up. This is kind of like a one-time deal or offer where I'm switching it up for one of my videos and kind of just putting my own twist on things. A bechamel burger is not really a part of Egyptian culture, but the macarona bechamel is. And this is just my own variation of it. I've just been really craving a burger lately, so this is my way of doing something different. So this is a full behind the scenes look of what I do when it comes to working on my recipe videos. Beside me over here, I have my camera set up with my monitor and lights and everything I still need to kick on. And for those of you who have seen my lives before and been part of it, you know the first thing that I do is I work on recording all of my voiceover audio for said recipe video. And if you are wondering why the font size is so large, it is because I am legally blind. It is different from being fully blind. I was diagnosed with Stargardt's disease, which is a form of macular degeneration, which affects my central vision. With that being said, I still have some of my vision, but not all of it. My vision is 20/200, which, to put in perspective for somebody who has normal 20/20 vision, what you see at 200 feet, I see at no more than 20 feet. So when it comes to reading text, for example, the font size is large. This is size 28-point font in Arial format, just to put things in perspective for you. And with that being said, I know a lot of you, when it comes to watching your favorite creators go live and watching just content creators go live in general, you like it when they interact with the comments section and welcome you in and thank you for the gifts and all that type of stuff. But given my vision disability, I am unable to do that. Just with me standing right in front of my camera here, I'm literally within arm's length. I cannot see, not only can I not see my own self on my phone screens, but to take it a step further, I cannot see the comments as they are coming in or any of the members in the lobby as they are either commenting or entering the live or sharing the live or whatever the case may be. So if you're looking for a live content creator who is acknowledging every single one of your comments and doing all that type of stuff, I'm sorry, that's just not me. It's something that I am not capable of doing. And if that upsets you, then it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get started with recording my voiceover audio. So let's go ahead and kick on this camera. And then I need to remove this cap as well. Let's turn on some lights. Let's rotate this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. This is my own twist on Egypt's classic macarona bechamel. Melt semna over medium-high heat. Add flour. And whisk it until it thickens and lightly browns. Add milk while you frequently whisk it to ensure no clumps form. Season it with ground nutmeg, sea salt, and black pepper. Keep the bechamel sauce at a medium simmer while you frequently whisk it until it thickens and reduces to a creamy consistency like this. Let me try that one again. So let's get rid of this one. Keep the bechamel sauce at a medium simmer while you frequently whisk it until it thickens and reduces to a creamy consistency like this. Fry diced onions with minced garlic for a few minutes until it becomes fragrant. Then add diced tomatoes. Season it with ground coriander, ground cumin, sea salt, and black pepper. Let this cook and reduce to a thicker consistency. Then transfer the ingredients to a mason jar. Then transfer the ingredients to a glass jar. Introduce an immersion blender to this operation to make the tomato sauce nice and smooth like you. Add penne pasta to a pot of boiling water with sea salt. Let it cook for 2 extra minutes. Let it cook for 2 minutes more than... I don't know why I'm stumbling on such an easy instruction. Let it cook for 2 minutes more than usual to make it extra tender. That should be simple enough. But the first time I went to say it, I said something completely different. So let's try this again. Let it cook for 2 minutes more than usual to make it extra tender. That wasn't so bad. Remove it from the water and let it rest. I was about to say let it set. Let's try this one again. Get rid of that one. All right, take 2. Remove it from the water and let it rest for a few minutes. Then fry it in a neutral oil for several minutes until I slightly stumbled on for several, and I kept going like, okay, I should be okay, but then I thought about it for too long as I continued reading, then I stumbled when I went to say crispy. So let's try that again. Then fry it in a neutral oil for several minutes until crispy and brown. Remove it from the oil. a touch of ground coriander. Let me redo that last one because I originally wrote add a touch of ground coriander to it, and I didn't say to it. Instead of that, I'm going to say to the pasta. So let's get rid of this one. And add a touch of ground coriander to the pasta. To the fry, I should say to the fried pasta. So let's. All right, take, I don't know, what is this, 3 or 4? And add a touch of ground coriander to the fried pasta. Portion the lahma into 1/3 pound balls. Add a splash of olive oil to a cast iron skillet. The lahma ball. All right, let me try this again. Get rid of this one. All right. The lahma balls goes in the skillet. No. Plural does not go with goes. Plural goes with go. Oh my goodness, I'm like rearranging grammar as I'm speaking. This is, and I wrote the lahma balls go, but then when I said it, I said goes, which, whatever. So let's get that one. All right, let's try this again. Hopefully this time I get the grammar right. The lahma balls go in. Now I'm emphasizing go. I should not be emphasizing go. All right, let's try this. Oh my goodness, this is All right, this is all for my voiceover. So like, I need to get it right. Tone needs to be right. My grammar needs to be right. So let's try this again. The lahma balls go in the skillet. That should be okay. If not, when I go to edit, I'll re-record if needed, if I need to make any adjustments with what I say. Use parchment paper and a burger press to press down the lahma. Season it with sea salt and black pepper. Add sliced onions over the lahma. Let this cook for a few minutes on the first side. Then flip it. Season the second side with sea salt and black pepper. Let this cook for several minutes. Let this cook for several minutes on the second side. I added the preposition at the end on the second side. I originally didn't write that, but decided to put that in just now. Now let's assemble the burger. A toasted brioche bun gets tomato sauce on the bottom bun. Set the lahma and onions over it. Let me adjust my tone just a little bit with that one. Let's try it again. Set the lahma and onions over it. Now add the fried pasta. And the fine. Nope. Oh man, oh man, oh man. All right. And the final touch is the bechamel sauce. Bechamel burger inspired by Egyptian macarona bechamel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes all of my voiceover for this recipe video. Now I can rotate this that way. I can also rotate this as well, like so. I do have a few veggies that need to be prepared before we can start cooking. Let me turn on AC a little bit too, because it's starting to get a little bit hot in here. I'm also going to bring you guys over here onto the counter in just a moment. That could be for the garlic. We're gonna need some water in this bowl. This is also going to be for the garlic. And we can turn off the camera just temporarily for now, while we're working on this stuff. Going to need some bowls as well. Just reaching behind you guys here. Just this one. All right, quick little field trip. Let's move you guys over here. All right. I think that should, oops, what just happened here on TikTok? All right. I think that should be okay. And once the camera kicks back on, you guys will actually be able to see. This is like, it will be like a behind the scenes of the behind the scenes, because you'll be able to see what my main camera is picking up on this monitor as we go along. And also, I want to take a moment to say thank you. I did just post the video on my YouTube channel a few days ago. I have not yet posted it on any of my other socials. I'm actually planning to post that video on the rest of my social media platforms tomorrow, Monday. But I did receive something from YouTube. So this was actually Uh, you may not be able to tell from my reaction in the video. Oops. But I was super excited and happy and grateful for this. Let me take it out of the box and take it out of this right here. So thank you to everybody on YouTube. YouTube is actually to my left here. I'm live on YouTube and TikTok. So if I'm looking back and forth, that's why. But thank you to everybody on YouTube for making this happen, reaching 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. It was a long time coming, but I'm truly grateful for everything and the entire journey along the way. We had some highs, some lows, and a lot of fun and yelling all in between to reach this milestone and accomplishment. So thank you to everybody for making this happen. If you have not watched that video, definitely watch it. And there is a surprise guest in that video. It's actually my longest video that I've made thus far. 7 minutes long. So most of my videos, I usually average, like around three-ish minutes or so. But definitely check out that video. As of right now, it's only on my YouTube channel, but come tomorrow, I will be posting it to the rest of my social medias. In that video, I essentially tell the story of my journey, like from where I started 4 years ago, what I was doing, what I was working at that point in time with my other job, and the process of me working on my social media, and essentially what I had to learn and go through in order to be in the point that I'm at today. So definitely go check out that video and be ready for the surprise guest, because I don't think anyone's ready for for the surprise guest that shows up in the video. I know for a fact I wasn't ready for it. So definitely go watch that video and let me know what you guys think of it. So right now with this onion, we're going to be using it for two things. One for the sauce and one for the burger itself. So I'm going to essentially split it in half. One half is going to be thinly sliced, and the other half will be diced. But right now, the peel on just this part is being I don't know who's more stubborn, the onion peel right now or me, because I can be pretty stubborn. Let's see. We almost got it. Moving up in the world of onion. All right, let's go ahead and clear off the cutting boards. I will be right back. So a while back, several months ago, I forget exactly when, but it was about several months ago, I made, what did I make? Kebab halla, which is Egyptian style pot kebab, which is actually like a 2-to-1 ratio, onions to lahma. So for every 1 pound of lahma you essentially want to use double the amount of onions, and you cook it for at least 1 hour for every pound of lahma. And what happens is the onions will reduce. They'll release like all of their juices or onion water, whatever you want to call it, and then it reduces to form this like onion gravy, and all the while the meat, the lahma, is being cooked and just taking on all that flavor. So in that video, during my okay halal moment, because people are always questioning and looking at all these techniques. Here's how to, slice onions without crying and this and that and the other. So like I said, it does require a lot of onions. So I think in that video, I think I used like either 3 or 4 pounds of onions. I honestly don't remember, but it was a lot of onions. So for my okay khalas part, I made the comment, how did I say it? Like, oh, hold on, let me think. How did I say it? Okay, I think I remember. I said, oh, but slicing this many onions will make me cry. Okay, khalas. Think happy thoughts then. So, that was my advice on how to overcome not crying when handling this many onions. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You guys try it out and let me know what you think. Does it work? Does it not work? Who knows? I guess it's all subjective. So I'm trying to think happy thoughts right now, and it's kind of working, kind of not, but so yeah. Give me one moment. I need to grab another bowl. We'll use this one. Just kind of set these onions in it. These will be for the burger itself. And then this half, we are simply just going to dice. This will be for the sauce. So lately now, for several months now, I've been getting in the habit of making my own sauce. Instead of buying the canned or jarred tomato sauce from the store, just been working on my own variation of it, and I've been keeping it fairly simple in terms of one moment, in terms of the ingredients and spices that I use in it. So my go-to essentially is onions, tomatoes, garlic, tomatoes, and then for the seasonings, coriander, cumin, sea salt, and black pepper. And then based on how thick I want the tomato sauce to be and how strong, sometimes I will add tomato paste. It's like a 50-50 essentially. Sometimes I add tomato paste, sometimes I don't. And then based on what I am making, I will also add like a splash of water, based on whether I want like a thicker sauce or a much thinner sauce. So let's get this. So these these tomatoes are just going to be roughly diced or chopped, whatever you want to call it. It's all going to be blended anyways, so they do not have to be perfect. So on second thought, I think today with the onion, it was so bad. I think thinking happy thoughts really does help. So it's I recommend you guys give it a try and let me know what you think. Next time you guys are handling onions. It will probably work, probably not work, who knows. So the sauce I'm only going to be making just a little tiny bit, not a crazy amount, because this is essentially going to be one of the sauces for the burger itself, instead of, you know, your ketchups and your mustard and all that nonsense. And plus, we're making a bechamel burger. So we will see how this turns out and what ends up happening with it. And any leftover sauce that I have, I'm going to be putting it in a mason jar anyways, and I will just repurpose it for something else that I make throughout the week. So that's the tomatoes. Be right back, just washing my hands. All right, tomatoes are all set. Up next is the garlic, and this is the last thing that we need to prepare, and then we can start cooking. This is just some water in here, just running down my fingertips and along the edge of the blade. When it comes to chopping garlic, whether you're chopping it, mincing it, whatever the case is, this makes it running water against the blade and your fingertips makes it much easier because it will slide right off. You don't have to worry about the sticky fingers from the garlic. And based on how much garlic you are handling, like every 2 to 3 garlic cloves, just based on the size of the garlic, you will have to apply more water. Last one, and then we're going to run through the pile, with the blade. Make it a little bit finer, even though it's all going to be blended anyways. And then we can start cooking. First thing we're going to prepare will be the bechamel sauce, because that takes the longest to cook. I'm not going to be making that much of it. It's probably going to take like 20 to 30-ish minutes to make for the bechamel sauce. The tomato sauce will probably take, 15 minutes. The burger should take no more than 10 minutes. What am I missing? The macarona, the pasta should take about 15 minutes because we're cooking it a little bit longer. So that's approximately 1 hour, but knowing me with how my lives go, it will probably all be done within the next 4 hours. All right, I think this is good for the garlic. Let's push it all into one nice pile. Block the pile so that way when it comes time for it, I can just scoop it all onto the knife, and life is good. All right, let me go wash my hands. So I will be right back. All right, so garlic is all set. Just going to put this here for now. Tomatoes as well. We're going to need that later for the sauce anyways. Same as these onions. This we're all set with. Can go in the dishwasher. This can go in the dishwasher too. Don't need these bowls. Let me wipe down the counter really quick. Then I'll bring over the countertop stove. And then we can start cooking. Coming over with the countertop stove. And now we can turn on this camera. And once I get myself situated with this camera and the positioning of this countertop stove, I'll make sure you guys are good to go and can see everything okay. And life is good. Make the bechamel in this. All right. Looks like everybody can see everything okay. So I'm just gonna keep you guys just actually let me go a little bit higher like so. And then tilt you down and tilt you down. All right. I think that should be okay for everyone. We got samna, which is Arabic for clarified butter. It's interchangeable for both clarified butter and ghee. We got the milk. We got the flour. We got the nutmeg, sea salt and black pepper. And then I need bowl and a small plate as well. For my utensils for the seasoning. Whisk. I need a spoon for that. think that's everything that I need. I hope. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do have a recording line. Start this recipe by preparing the bechamel sauce. Let's make sure that's okay. Then I do need to adjust the camera for the next few shots, and we should be good to go. Start this recipe by preparing the bechamel sauce. Good to go. Okay, I do need to adjust the camera down for these next two shots. So just bear with me. You'll be able to see on the monitor of what's happening with the camera as I am making these changes. So let's go a little bit lower, like so. All right, that should be okay. Next shot. Those were the next two shots. Now let's adjust this back up. So that way we can now see inside the pot. Oops, wrong way. Too far. All right, I think that should be okay. You guys can still, YouTube can still see the pot, can still see me. Monitors in view. Let me slide TikTok a little bit more so that way you guys can see the monitor. All right. So this is semna, which is Arabic for interchangeable. It's Arabic and interchangeable for both clarified butter and ghee. This is clarified butter because I didn't go through the extra process to make it into ghee. But this is all that I have left of the batch that I made several months ago. And probably sometime this week, I will be making another batch of clarified butter. was the semna. That was the flour. Now we whisk. If you want to frequently you want to frequently whisk it to ensure that no clumps form. So as I'm recording with my main camera, I do go radio silent because I already did record my voiceover audio lines. So just frequently whisk it, ensuring no clumps form. And then we're going to go in with the milk. Same technique. Frequently whisk it while you pour it in because you don't want any clumps to form. Let's see, add flour and whisk it until it lightly browns. All right, let's do this with the milk. So I'm going to whisk it for about 30-ish more seconds here. And then I'm going to go in with the seasonings. If clumps do form, just break them up. It'll be more prone for clumps to, or more likely for clumps to form around the edge, like the bottom edge or corner of the pot that you are using. All right, up next are the seasonings. That was nutmeg, Next is sea salt. That was black pepper. Let me go wash my hands really quick. And now we whisk. Let's see. I'm going to add just a little bit more milk. I didn't measure it, evidently. However, when making bechamel sauce, or if you're doing like 1 stick of butter, which is equivalent to 8 tablespoons of butter, you use 1 cup of flour. So for every 8 tablespoons of flour, you use 1 cup of flour. And for that, you use so for every tablespoon of butter, you use 1 cup of milk, and then for every tablespoon of butter, you use 1 cup of milk and 1/8 cup of flour. So that's essentially the breakdown. So I did about 4 tablespoons of butter, roughly. Generous. Well, I used a tablespoon, but they were very generous portions. So I used about 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 cups of milk approximately, and then half a cup of flour. See how that one looks. And then I'm going to, if this last shot is okay, then we're going to put it on the stove behind me. Let's try it again. I think that should be okay. Let's go ahead and move this to the stove behind me. me wipe down my area really quick, because some did splash. All right, that should be okay. Now I need to move the camera for this next shot. I had to temporarily take it off, the camera off the tripod to adjust the bottom plate. Okay. These onions. This can go back in the fridge. Let's see how we look. That is way too low. Definitely need to adjust the focus. Just give me one moment to get this right, please, and thank you. All right. I think that should be okay, I hope. I do have a recording line where I have to say, now let's make the tomato sauce. I'm going to do that after I make the tomato sauce, once it's all prepared and ready. All right. I need another plate. Like so. I need this one. Onions are over there, garlic's over there. All right, we should be okay. Let's do this. All set with the flour too. Let's get this out of the way. before things get really chaotic in the kitchen. All right. Let's do a quick test. Nope. Another 20-ish seconds. Nope. Just waiting for the oil to heat up, and then we're going to go in with these diced onions. Then I got the garlic behind me as well. And we should be good to go after that. So right now we're about to be starting on the tomato sauce on the stove in front of on my main stove over here to my left. We got the bechamel sauce going. And then after this tomato sauce, we're going to work on the macarona. And then after that, we're going to work on the lahma. Let's check out this oil. All right, let's do this. Remote. Up next is the onions. I did run some water along the blade. This will make it easier to slide right off for the garlic. Let's get whatever's left on the cutting board, get it all in there. And now we mix. Don't need a knife either for now. Now we can mix. So we're just going to let this cook. Oh, got the annoying CAPTCHA thing on TikTok. There we go. Sorry about that, TikTok. I had to do the CAPTCHA thing. You know, the I am a human nonsense. So right now we're just letting the onions and garlic cook for a few minutes, just until it becomes fragrant and gets some color. Then we're going to go in with the tomatoes and seasoning immediately after. For those of you just joining in, welcome to my kitchen. I'm the Egyptian cook, and for today's live, we are making a bechamel burger. This is my own twist on Egypt's classic macarona bechamel, which is their bechamel pasta. I'm essentially turning it into a burger. I decided to switch it up today for my live and for my recipe video. It's been a while since I've done something, you know, wild or out of the ordinary like this. So I figured, why not? And plus, I have been really craving a good burger, and I figured I'd give this a try and see what happens. So we already made the bechamel sauce, which is on the stove behind me here. Here, let's bring it over really quick. So right now I have it on the stove behind me on very low heat. As you can see, it has really thickened up, which is a good thing. So this is going to be one of the sauces going on to the burger. And over here, we are at the very early stages of working on the tomato sauce. That's also going to be for the burger as well. So essentially the way I wrote this we're going to be having two sauces for this burger, tomato sauce on the bottom bun, and then bechamel is going to go on top. Not necessarily like on the top bun, but over once we add the burger, once we add the lahma and the macarona, and then the bechamel is going to go on top. Top Gun, good movie by the way. Top bun, we'll go over it and life will be good. So we're starting to get some color here, and the garlic is definitely starting to become fragrant, which is a good sign. That is what you want to happen right now. So I'll give it about 1 more minute. Here we go. And then we will go in with the tomatoes and seasoning. So let me get myself ready with the seasonings. That should be okay. All right, one mix. I'll get the shot that I need of me holding a little bit on the spoon, like close up. Why isn't that focusing in on it? No, don't do this. All right, let's try something different. That will suffice. All right, now let's go in with the diced tomatoes. Up first is the ground coriander. Up next is the cumin. Up next is the sea salt. And finally, the black pepper. Let me go wash my hands, be right back. Let me give the bechamel a quick whisk as well. Cannot forget about that. And now, let's make sure I didn't forget anything here. Sea salt. Okay, let this cook and reduce and transfer it. All right. So we are on schedule here. Let's do this. So I'm going to let this cook for approximately 5-ish minutes. And then we're going to transfer all of this to a mason jar. And we will blend it. So the bechamel sauce, I'm just adding just a splash of milk to it. Just to loosen it up a little bit. I still want it on the thick and creamy side, but I do not want it to be too thick. Because it does, the longer you let it cook, the more it does reduce. So this is a good consistency that we want it to be at. Like so. All right, let me give you guys a better close-up. So this is currently on my main stove, which is behind you guys, a little bit to the right. About another minute or so, and then I'll transfer this. About 2 minutes, I'll transfer this to a mason jar or glass jar. Just wanted to reduce a little bit more. Essentially, like allowing the tomatoes to release its water, so that way the sauce is not completely. I want it to be more on the thicker side, so that's why I'm not putting the lid on and just kind of just letting it cook open pot. So let's go ahead and grab a jar while we are waiting. Oops. Then immersion blender is on the kitchen table somewhere. right, that should be okay. Let's see. Just temporarily putting this on the stove behind me just to get it out of the way temporarily. This can go to the side as well, from down. This right here, like so. I do need to adjust this camera down, way down actually. So first like that. You guys can see the adjustments that are being made with my main camera on that monitor as it is happening. That should be okay, I think. All right. Put that there. I just want to do a slide in motion because I recorded the voiceover audio where I say then transfer the ingredients to a glass jar. So I want to start it with a sliding motion, and I kind of put this cap here and this bowl here to essentially create the intersection of where I essentially stop. Like if you draw a line down like this and a line across like this, intersection would be right here. And as you can see, my finger is essentially like at the center of the screen, but that's where I want to stop the jar, like so. So let's see if we can get this in the first take. Just like that. All right, let's come back over. Actually, before I do the sauce, let's go ahead, whisk the bechamel sauce. Oops, let's come back over with the vegetables. That can move, that can move. How can I do this? If I scoop it, go in like that. Okay, that should be okay, I hope. didn't go. Whatever. We'll just pretend like it went, you know, use your imagination for that last shot. I'm just going to do it without recording on my main camera and call it a day. Let me go wash my hands, be right back. I'm also going to give the bechamel a quick whisk while I'm back here. We can also move this out of the way because we need to bring over the immersion blender. Oops, this needs to go this way. I'm not going to be adding olive oil, I just use it as a way to, what's it called? For the, when it comes to the cord, just a way to block the cord from getting in the way. Doing the best I can to avoid making a mess outside the jar. So right now I'm just pushing all these pieces, oops, that are caught. Then I'm going to give it one final blend, and then we should be good to go. Let me go wash my hands really quick. Going to give the bechamel a quick whisk as well. Of course, the camera wants to say too hot. So let's turn that off. Right. I think that should be okay for the sauce. And I just accidentally spilled some. Just cleaning this off. And then, oh my goodness. Can't be making a mess, no mess. But doing good today for the most part in terms of not turning my kitchen into a disaster as it usually happens. Be right back. I also washed the blade while I was at it, so that way it doesn't dry up and crust over. All right, there's our homemade tomato sauce. Didn't make that much. Just used half an onion, 3 tomatoes, like 4 garlic cloves, and then the seasonings, coriander, cumin, sea salt, and black pepper. We're just using this as a spread, as one of the sauces for the burger, hence why I did not make that much of it. So let's go ahead and unplug this. This. Let's wind this back up. camera should have cooled down by now. It's been a few minutes. We're back in action. It's 2. All right, 3's a charm. We should be okay. I do need to adjust this camera up for this next shot. I also need to give bechamel sauce a whisk, because I could hear it bubbling. Now let's make the tomato sauce. All right, tomato sauce is in, oh, well. All right, tomato sauce is in focus. Now let's make the tomato sauce. I think we're good to go. Homemade tomato sauce. Set that to the side. All right. Up next is the pasta. Let's see, how am I going to do that? I said pasta, boiling water and sea salt. Okay, let it cook. All right. So the pasta is essentially going to be like one of the toppings for this burger. So the plan is essentially to cook it for a little bit longer than usual, just to make the pasta extra tender. And then we're going to take it out of the water, and then we're going to fry it for a few minutes in a neutral oil just to allow it to crisp up. And then we're going to add some seasoning, and that will essentially be the the toppings for for the burger. So we'll see what happens. I need to adjust that camera down. First I'm going to raise it up, then we're going to tilt it down. Then we're going to zoom in and shift. Let's see how we look. Too low. I think that should be okay. All right, everyone can still see it. We're good to go. Just added like a tiny splash of milk to the bechamel, giving it a whisk. So as I said earlier in the live, the longer it cooks, the thicker it becomes. So I don't want it to get like crazy thick. This is a good consistency right here. Kind of like a cake batter consistency in a way, I guess you could call it. Like a little bit thicker than that. So for the pasta, or as we call it in Arabic, macarona, we're going to let it cook for a couple minutes more than what the box recommends. So regardless of what brand that you're using, or if you make the pasta homemade, just let it cook for a few extra minutes. So that way the pasta itself is extra tender. Um, and then we are going to fry it to make it nice and crunchy. And we're going to add some seasoning. And then we're going to move on to the lahma. So for those of you just joining in, welcome to my kitchen. I am Mohammed, the Egyptian cook, and for today's live, we are making a bechamel burger. This was inspired by Egypt's classic macarona bechamel, which is a baked bechamel pasta, which is essentially layered with bechamel sauce, pasta, lahma or ground meat in the middle, and then more macarona on top, and then covered with bechamel sauce. So I'm essentially taking one of Egypt's classic dishes and turning it into a burger. I just been really craving a burger and just wanted to do something different. Plus, it's been a while since I've done something wild like this, like out of the ordinary. So we will see what happens. This is my first time ever trying something this kind of burger, so we will all see together what happens with it and how it turns out. So hopefully it is a win. I'm sure it will be. The only part that I'm really questionable about is the fried pasta as a topping, but we will see what happens. So right now we're just simply waiting for the water to reach a boil. I just turned up the heat slightly on it. Let me actually, while we're waiting as well, I'm gonna turn AC back on. So we will see what happens with this one. I'm sure it'll be really good. I've never had fried pasta myself before, but I've seen online a lot of people like fried pasta in general. So we'll see what happens and how this is going to turn out for a burger. We'll also see what happens with that. So I guess we're all going to learn, and we're all going to learn about it together for the first time. So yeah. All right. So while we're waiting on the water to reach a boil, let's give this a quick whisk, which is the bechamel sauce. I'm going to share a quick story with you guys. I was a few days ago when I was at my parents' house. This story came into conversation, and I thought it was pretty funny. So when I was younger, it was actually my my sophomore year. I think it was sophomore year math class, so 10th grade. So me and one of my like childhood friends, his name is Steve. So we sat next to each other. We had like all the same classes like all throughout middle school and high school. And so we had math class, and math is one of my natural subjects I'm just really good at, and he's also gifted in math and a lot of other subjects as well too. So we sat right next to each other. Instead of having individual desks, we had like a table that sat two people. That's how the classroom was set up. And so we sat right in the middle of the class. And the teacher, like from like day one, like I just honestly couldn't take him seriously. So he was also the basketball coach, the varsity basketball coach at the school. And mind you, I didn't play basketball for the school. But anyways, so we're in the middle, it's first day of school, and he's, going through what's it called, like the syllabus and all that type of stuff, and, the curriculum and what we're going to be doing, and, this is his classroom, blah, 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 like all that good stuff. And when he goes to introduce himself, instead of like saying, "My name is Mr." he started talking about how he's the basketball coach, varsity basketball coach, and telling us all his accolades. So like he was like pushing the agenda, like instead of calling me Mister, call me Coach. And like he was just like obsessed. Like every time he would say the word coach, he would just emphasize the word coach. Like he'd be like, "You could call me Coach," and like like I just remember just laughing both on the inside and outside because I think if I got paid $1 for every time he said Coach on especially that first week of class, I'd probably be a multi-millionaire. So yeah. So anyways, so uh, like throughout class, like my buddy and I, we would talk and things like that. Like we weren't being like crazy disruptive, but we not only did we already understand the curriculum, like we're two 15-year-old boys. Like, what do you really expect for us to sit there and be quiet? So, anyways, so he would go through and give his lectures, and he would always call on us, primarily me, for being disruptive. So one day he came up with the brilliant idea to separate us. So he put me, we went from both of us sitting together like in the middle of class. He moved me to the very front right corner of the class, like if you're facing the whiteboard or chalkboard, whiteboard at the time. So if you're facing the whiteboard, um, I was at the front right corner of the desk of the classroom, and connected to my table was the teacher's desk as well too. Then he moved Steve all the way to the back left corner of the classroom. So he literally put us at opposite ends of the classroom, and he thought that was going to be a suitable solution to prevent or eliminate the talking and like the disruption between the two of us from happening. But in fact, it made things. Oops, this flame just went out. But in fact, it made it made things a lot worse actually. So, um, so what we ended up doing. So Steve and I, we would, because we'd be bored out of our minds. Like we'd do our homeworks, our homework, we quizzes, tests, everything. It's not like we were failing um, the class or anything like that. We were just, we're just bored. Like we needed a challenge of some sort. So what we ended up doing So what we ended up doing was, now that we're far apart, obviously we're not going to yell across the classroom because then, that would be actually disrupting the class and the learning process and all that. So, so we would write notes like on a piece of paper or whatever, and we would fold it up, and then like we would attach it to a bottle of water, something heavy, and we would launch it across the classroom from corner to corner. And we would have to do it like so quickly. We'd wait for like the teacher to turn his back, like as he's writing something on the whiteboard, and then we would have it ready and we would just launch it across the classroom. So that way by the time he's done writing whatever equation and turns back around, he doesn't see the flying bottle going across the classroom. And that's what we started doing. And given my vision, disability, my vision's not the greatest. So anytime Steve would throw it at me, sometimes I would catch it, like I would get lucky to catch it, but then like other times I would completely miss it because I can't see it coming from a distance. I can only see the bottle like as it got like really close to me. So a lot of times I would miss, and it would go crashing into the teacher's desk or computer, and then so that would create a lot of noise. And then obviously we got caught and in trouble. So yeah, so what's the moral of the story? So the reason why this story came up when I was at my parents' house a couple days ago, we were talking about like the school systems and all of that when it comes to how children are. Like usually, we're always trying to tell kids like, oh, like, the one who's hyper or full of energy we're always telling that child to like slow down, for example, and things like that. But in reality, that child is probably, most likely destined to be an athlete, considering that he or she has so much energy. But we're so used to you know, holding our younger selves back. When you have a child who's literally bored out of their mind and finished all their homework and has an A in the class and all that type of stuff, like, you should give them a challenge, not separate them and, discipline them or punish them for essentially being ahead of the class. Um, so what coach thought was going to be, um, like a learning lesson or discipline for us, ended up turning into something much greater and more entertaining. It was a lot of fun. We would do like a lot, and then at times we'd also make like paper airplanes and throw them back and forth at each other. I used to make this like style of paper airplane that involved two pieces of paper, and you'd have to staple them together, and it had like a much wider like wingspan, so it would glide like nice and smooth, like all the way across the classroom. So yeah, he should have just kept us at the same table. Well, at least that's how I see it. All right, story time is over. We got some bubbles going on over here. Then we just crank up the heat a little bit, and then we should be good to go to add the, the pasta to the water. All right, let's go ahead and go in with the water, or with the pasta. Let's do this. Let's see how much verbiage I use. What kind of pasta you making? All right. All right, here's while we're waiting on the pasta to cook. Oh, that's way too violent of a boil. Let's slightly turn that down. Let's also come back over with the bechamel. Give it a nice whisk. I have it on the stove, my main stove, at a very low heat. Just letting it cook and do its thing. And I'm just adding milk little by little, just like a tiny bit at a time. Because the longer you let it cook, the thicker it becomes. And I don't want it to be like crazy, overly thick. I want it to have that nice, I want it to have a thick, creamy consistency, but not overly thick. internal temperature too high. Of course it is. So let's just turn that off for now. All right, let's look at the time as well. All right, 5:32. So at like 5:44-ish, the pasta should be done, because you do want to cook it for like a couple extra minutes, 2 to 3 minutes longer than the recommended time on the side of the box, because you want the pasta for what we're going for. You want the pasta to be extra tender. So like 5:44-ish, the pasta should be good to go and, ready. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share another story that came up when I was at my parents' house a few days ago. So this was also my sophomore year of high school, so 10th grade. So at that time, I don't know if it's still a thing nowadays in today's, curriculum, but taking a foreign language class was highly recommended by colleges and universities. So like our options for foreign language were Spanish, French, or German. You can pick one of those three languages as an elective. Was not required, but it was recommended. I did not want to take any of them, honestly. For one, at least at the time, my Arabic was a lot stronger than what it is now because I was speaking it a lot more fluently. So for one, like that was part of my argument as to why should I take a foreign language when I already do speak a foreign language. And for two, I wanted to be able to take my tech design and engineering drafting classes instead as an elective over Spanish or any foreign language in general. So my freshman year, I didn't take Spanish 1 as my siblings did. And come sophomore year, my parents weren't too happy about it. They're like, no, you have to, and this and that. And after a lot of back and forth between us, I ended up taking Spanish 1. So at the high school that I was at, they had this policy. I don't remember exactly like the time limit, but it was basically if you were more than like 5 minutes late. This is the part that I don't exactly remember. Like if it was 5 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes, like whatever that numerical value was. So let's just say it was 5 minutes. If you were more than 5 minutes late to class, if you were less than 5 minutes late to class, you would just get marked as tardy. But if you were greater than 5 minutes late to class, you were now marked as absent, even though you were physically there. It's just that you surpassed that time slot that you're not considered absent. And I don't remember if it was like 5 minutes. It was somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. It's too long ago for me to remember. But anyways, so within the first few weeks of the semester, and it's for the semester. So like if you after 11, if you have more than 11 absences in the same class, then you lose credit for that class. And each semester was equivalent to half a credit towards your high school graduation. And you needed 22 credits altogether to graduate. So after like a month or so, or within the first month, I had already, like I would show up to class late past that like time threshold to where the teacher would now mark me absent instead of just tardy. So I had lost credit for that class for that semester within like the first month or so of class. So I still had 2-3-ish months to go for that semester. So I already lost credit, and when that happens, they would like send out a letter or whatever to your parents or something. You'd have to see a guidance counselor or whatever nonsense that they would do. Um, so I had already lost credit, and there's nothing that you can do to receive that credit back during that semester. You essentially would either have to retake the class the following semester or go to summer school, based on how, like, if you qualify for graduation and all that type of stuff. But anyways, so I lost credit. So as a result, I would still show up to class. Like, I wouldn't show up on time or anything like that. I would still show up, like, here and there, but then the teacher, she would sit there and argue with me every single day. It was like clockwork. She'd argue with me on why I'm no longer doing my homework and why I am no longer taking any of the quizzes or tests. And I would sit there and tell her, like, I already lost credit. Like, why would I do any of the homework? Why would I take a single test? Why would I participate? Why would I do any of that? It doesn't matter if I do all the homework and take all the exams and score a 100% on everything. I'm still going to receive no credit on my report card and on my transcript and all of that. So why would I do any of the work if the inevitable result is going to be no credit? So we'd sit there and argue on this every single day, and it made absolutely no sense to me. So so I ended up getting the no credit slash failing that class. And when you get no credit, it's a failing mark on your report card. So that's what ended up happening for me. And as a result of it, that was my first year that I had to go to summer school. Actually, was so at the end of that school year, I had to go to summer school, and I took a math class. I think it was because as I said earlier, math is one of my strong subjects. So I took a math class for summer school, and yeah, it was really annoying having to go to summer school because I think it was like 2 or 3 days a week, something like that. So long ago for me to completely remember like the exact schedule of it all. I mean, I have to go like a few times a week, and that was one thing that you could not be tardy for or anything like that. And I think they even charged us for summer school, like it wasn't included in whatever my parents were already paying for, like the school tax and all that nonsense. I think there was like an additional fee for that, if I remember correctly. So I had to take summer school, and that was a walk in the park. It was just annoying that, a few times a week you'd have to go, instead of, being outside playing basketball or whatever, I have to go to summer school and do math homework. But the teacher was really, really cool and chill for that. Like half the time we would just either like half the time we would do homework, or the other half of the time, he would just usually bring in like donuts or bagels, and we would just, as long as we all behaved, he really didn't care. He was a pretty cool guy. Because at the end of the day, like if you think about it, like the teacher's in summer school too. So like what teacher really wants to be doing that, especially in the K through 12, like public school system? Like no, like come on. Like I think every high school teacher wants to be better, utilizing their summer vacation. So yeah, no habla español over here from me because I failed out of that class. We had to do this thing as well too for that class. We couldn't oh, and for the second semester, since I failed the first one, you can't continue with the second half of like that same class. So they moved me into what did they move me into for that second semester? Did they put me in another Spanish class? I think they did. So I remember that we had to, I had two different Spanish teachers. I remember that, so I think they did move me into another Spanish class. And we couldn't use our real names for that class. You had to choose like the teacher made us choose like a Hispanic name for like everything. So like when you do like your homework, for example, or you know, quizzes or tests or any of that type of stuff, like I wouldn't, like we weren't allowed to use our actual names. We had to use or choose like a Hispanic name of some sort. So mine was I chose Raphael because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that was my name that I chose for my Spanish class. And with that being said, yes, when it comes to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Raphael is my most favorite one. And for those of you who know me and know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm sure you can connect the dots as to why Raphael is my most favorite one. He's essentially, you know, like the big brother of the four. He's the hothead, more like short-tempered of the four bunch. He's the strongest one. He's also the strongest. He's the big brother. He's the strongest one, but he's also like the hothead, short temper, um, which is why he, in terms of his weapons that he uses, he Master Splinter gave him the what's it called? I think it's called a sai, the fork-looking weapon, because that what he uses is not meant for offense, it's meant for defense. And considering, so Splinter, he essentially, because each four of the Ninja Turtles, they all have their own personality, so he gave each of them a different weapon to that will essentially teach them something based on their personality. So Raphael being the strongest one, the hothead, always wanting to fight and all that type of stuff, he was given a defensive weapon so that way he can learn how to control his temper and things like that. Then Leonardo, the leader, the blue one, he was given the what's it called, like the katana sword, because he's the leader, and he has a very deadly weapon, but it's to teach him as a leader that you should not be killing and should be in control and bigger than, you know, than be like the bigger person in comparison to like the bad guys. So he was given the swords. And then Michelangelo, he's, you know, the one with the biggest heart. He's the one whose mind is always going everywhere. One second he's talking about this, then the next second he's over there, and he's always just, you know, running on 150, adrenaline always pumping. So he was given the nunchucks, which take a lot of focus to master and to control. So that was, you know, a way for him to learn how to focus his attention on one thing. And then who's left? Donatello. He's the really smart one of the group with all his cool gadgets and technology. He was essentially given a stick, a bow staff, but it was just a stick because there's really nothing. It's not a fancy computer or anything like that. It's literally just a bow staff, just a cylindrical stick, so that way he can essentially like learn the discipline of, you know, not all this technology and all these things that his mind is always going to. So yeah, there's my little superhero sci-fi uh, storytelling event, whatever you want to call it, for the time being while we're waiting on the pasta to cook. And it is 5:46. We're going to give the bechamel a quick whisk. Oops. Let's check the pasta. Pasta is nice and tender. Let me turn the camera back on. It should definitely have cooled down by now. Let it cook for 2 minutes more. Okay. Move it. All right, bowl is what I need. Let's turn this off. Let's get the rest of this pasta out of here. Done with this, just setting it on the stove behind me for now. I'm adding just a splash of milk to the bechamel sauce. Let's bring it back over really quick for you guys to see. I'm going to continue whisking it. We're looking good. All right, what's next? What's next? Up next is preparing. I don't think I said the up next is preparing the penne pasta. Oops, I forgot to record a line. Whatever, it is what it is. It happens. Let's adjust this, tilt this up. And you guys can see on the monitor all the adjustments being made on this monitor as they're happening. Let's temporarily move this out of the way. Now, oh, I guess I'm gonna wait until I'm done, like how I did with the, I waited to finish making the tomato sauce to record that line. So I'll do the same with the pasta. So we still gotta fry it. Let it cook for a few minutes. All right, let's get set up for the frying. This can go back here by the sink. You can bring the countertop stove back over. We're going to need this iron skillet. And then we will need a neutral oil. Don't need this anymore. Let's see. Actually, let me get the camera set up on this before I do any of that nonsense. It's too low. All right, you guys can all see everything okay, I hope. Don't want these to each other. So taking them out of the bowl. To prevent that from happening. I don't want to put it in the oil and it being one giant thing of pasta. That would be no bueno. Be right back. Oops. Still need more time for the oil to heat up. So essentially what's happening here is we have some extra tender penne pasta that we just finished cooking. We're going to fry it for a few minutes here once the oil heats up, just to turn it nice and crispy. Then we're going to add some, we're going to take it out, add some, toss it in some seasonings. And then we're going to move on to preparing the lahma. And then once the lahma is cooked, then we will work on assembling the burger. So we're actually, I think we're making good progress in this live. I hope. Yeah, so I think we're at the halfway point because we finished the bechamel sauce. The bechamel sauce is back here on my main stove. I'm on a very, very, very low heat. We're going to be adding just like a touch of milk to this before we use this, so that way it's not so incredibly thick. I still want it to be thick and creamy, but not this thick and creamy. But not this thick, I should say. So right before I go to use it, I'm just going to add just another splash of milk to it. And then we also made the homemade tomato sauce as well. I didn't make a whole lot of it because I'm essentially going to be using this as the sauce for the bottom bun. And we worked on cooking the pasta, making it extra tender, and now we're going to fry it, and all that's left after this is to cook the lahma. So yeah, I think we're past the halfway point. We're just about the halfway point of this. All right, we got a little bit of sizzle. I'll give it a little, like one more minute, and then we will add the pasta. We will fry the pasta. Just getting, for the seasonings afterwards, I'm just going to be using some ground coriander. All right, let's do this. Be right back. Just going to wash my hands really quick. Bring this here as well. So I'm just going to let it cook for a few minutes here until it crisps up and gets some nice golden brown color to it. Does not look like any of these pastas are touching each other. Touching in the sense of where they're getting stuck to each other. That's what I do not want to happen. I do not want it to clump up in any capacity. All right, so let's just let it fry and do its thing. This is essentially going to act as one of the toppings for the burger. I think so far so good. Let's see what time it is right now. It is 6:04. Going to give the bechamel a quick whisk while I'm over here. And I am back. It's starting to get a little bit of color, but it needs a little bit more for it to crisp up. This is my first time ever doing this, so as I said earlier in the live, this is my first time making this type of burger. Essentially taking one of Egypt's classic dishes, which is macarona bechamel, and turning it into a burger. So this is my very first time trying this, doing this. I've not done it off the camera, so this is literally it. This is my first go. I did not try it yesterday or the day before or previously before in general. So we are all learning together as to how this will turn out and what the results will be. What is most questionable for me in general when it comes to this whole thing of what I'm doing is essentially this right here, the fried pasta. I've never had fried pasta before, and let alone putting it on a burger, but we will see what happens. Everything else I'm all good for. Putting tomato sauce on a burger, what's the big deal? Putting bechamel sauce on a burger, really, what's the big deal? In other news, I also have, while we're waiting for this to fry, another recipe that I will be working on. However, I will not be going live for is I will be making thermos. Thermos is essentially, um, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank on what type of bean this is, what the name of this bean is in English. I'm drawing a blank on it. I know in Arabic it's called thermos, but it's essentially like a yellow bean. The reason why I won't be going live for this because it's about like a 5 to 7 day process for me to prepare this. Um, so hence I'm not going to go live for, it's essentially just letting it soak for 5 to 7 days, and replacing the water each day. So that's also another recipe video that I will be working on this coming week, like day by day. So I'm super excited for this one. This is like a snack that you essentially, that I remember that I would always eat anytime I would go to Scandaria, which is the city of Alexandria. Um, He'd have like sellers with their street cars that would sell this. They put it like in a plastic bag, and you'd buy it and you just eat it as a snack with your hand. It's very salty. Um, it's a very salty snack to have. So I'm super excited for this one. All right. I'm going to give this like 1 more minute, and then we'll take it out. All right. Let's go ahead and remove this from the oil. Let's move this out of the way temporarily. A smaller bowl. I need to temporarily move this out of the way again. And I also need to, adjust the camera, like so. Remote. Up next is preparing the fried pasta. Let's review it. Make sure the pasta is actually in focus. Okay, We should be okay with that. Oops, wrong button. Up next is preparing the lahma. Actually, I need to get this open because of how I'm going to do my line. So I'm not going to be setting this down. You'll understand when you see what I'm about to do. So, I can't use this plate. Let's use this plate. So let's go ahead and get this opened. Oops. Let me wash up really quick. Be right back. I'm also going to give bechamel sauce a quick whisk. And as I said earlier, I will be adding a splash of milk to it later on, just right before I use it. So that way it's not as thick as what it is right now. All right. I need the other towel. Just going to run some water on it. It should be good. All right. Can't be smiling for this next part. I'm just laughing in my mind because of what's to come. So just trust the process, okay? It's all this is all part of the process. You just gotta trust in the process and just let things unfold as 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 it happens. Now let's prepare the lahma. Where's the lahma? Here's the lahma. All right, I got it. Let me go wash my hands. So essentially, what just happened there is I initially went up saying, now let's prepare the lahma, but obviously at that point in that shot, there is no lahma on the tray. And I look down, where's the lahma? And then here, as I'm saying, here's the lahma will, magically appear on the tray. It's part of my humor, so just you gotta have some sort of fun and comedic relief, as I'm working on these videos, and also on the flip side, for when you watch the final cut of the video, there is some sort of comedic relief. All right. So So what I'm using here is 80% lean. 80% lean ground beef. So I'm essentially cutting it into 3. Then going to roll these into balls. And considering that it's 80%, it's going to lose that 20% volume because of the fat, so it won't be as large. So I'm about to be rolling it into balls, but I'm feeling a sneeze coming up in the same sense too. Excuse me. Give me one moment, ladies and gentlemen. I will be right back. All right, I apologize about that. I am back, as I just stepped off camera again to dry my hands. Okay. Form the lahma into 1/3 pound. Balls. Form the lahma into 1/3 pound balls. Let me go wash my hands so that way I can better handle the remote, and we'll see how that clip looks. If everything is okay, then we can move forward with the other ones without having to record it. Give me one moment, please. And thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and review that clip and see how we look. So far, so good. I think we're okay. I have another recording line. I'm just getting my head in the game here for what I'm about to say now. Okay. Oh, that's way too much lahma. Okay, khalas. Go stand in front of the wall facing it and think about what you did for at least 5 minutes. I think that one's gonna be a winner. Let's make sure everything's okay. And I think that's my first time getting on the first go. Okay, I'm done. All right, let me just temporarily turn off this camera for now so it does not overheat, because it already did overheat a couple times earlier. Let me kick the AC back on for a little bit because it's been heating up in here lately. Let's go ahead and roll these other 2 pieces of ground meat or lahma into balls for oh man, the okay khalas always like cracks me up. I think this is the first time that I've ever gotten it on the first go. Usually like I'll stumble on my words, or I'll start laughing in between, or whatever the case is, or I'll get the like all the verbiage correct, but I want to change my tone or improve my tone a little bit, so I'll redo it again, because it's not just saying the okay khalas, the body language of the hand wave that comes into play, and just like overall body language really comes into the delivery of the okay khalas. You can't just simply, like when it comes to saying okay khalas, you can't just say okay khalas. No, like you really have to say like okay khalas. Like you got to put some oomph into it, and just you gotta let them know when you're saying okay khalas, you mean whatever whatever nonsense you're about to be saying afterwards, you mean it. Yeah, so I think that one's a winner. That one, not I think that one is a winner, but the okay khalas that I did in my last recipe where I made the patatas mahshiya, the stuffed potatoes. I think that one is my all-time favorite okay khalas. If you haven't watched that recipe video, definitely go watch it. It's my stuffed potatoes recipe video. I just posted it last week. I think it was. Was it last week or the week before? It was yeah, last week on Monday. So I posted it 6 days ago. So definitely go watch that video and check out the okay khalas in that one. That's hands down my most favorite one of all the okay khalas I've ever done. That one's my favorite one because it's just so ridiculous and just so full of nonsense. And to me, that's what makes it like the most funny, is just essentially yelling nonsense. Like it's really not supposed to make sense. The less sense it makes, the more funny it is, in my opinion, at least. And I think that's why I like the one from last week for the patatas mahshiya. That one is, yeah, it's. But anyways, all of lahma is rolled into balls. So let me go wash up, and then we'll rearrange. We'll play some musical chairs in terms of the countertop, getting the countertop stove over here, and then we will start cooking the lahma. So just give me one moment to first wash my hands, please. I also said in my last live, I still yet do it. I really need to do it. I need to make note of it and do it this week. So I honestly can't remember, but I want to know what my like which video of mine I where the OK Khalas essentially debuted, because I honestly do not remember which recipe video it was where I did that, where I introduced the OK Khalas. And quick pause, here's the bechamel sauce. Going back on the stove behind me. And then I'm going to come back, oh, let me move this out of the way and wipe down. Oh, don't need to wipe down. Let's come back over with the countertop stove. But as I was saying, oh crap. I made a mistake. All right. Because I used the skillet to fry, so I need to transfer the oil out of that. Just quick fix. I need to transfer the oil out of this. Out of the skillet, because that is what I will be using for the burgers. That's not good. Oh boy, oh boy. Let me completely move this out of the way because I no longer need it. Now let's clean up this mess I made. Let me come back in with a little soap. All right, I think we're good to go now. All right, let's come back over with this. But as I was saying earlier regarding the OK Khalas, I want to, because I honestly cannot remember which one it is, I want to go back to my videos, like my older videos, and pinpoint exactly which video, which recipe video, or video in general was the very first OK Khalas that I did. Not only do I want to find that video, I also want to go back to the video immediately before that one and just compare the difference before the OK Khalas, before like the very first OK Khalas, and after, like the before and after essentially. So I want to find the very first one and then also make note of what was the video immediately before that, because considering that one would not have the OK Khalas. So essentially I just want to see what inspired it, what what changed to include it. All right. Good as new. 1 second, or 1 moment, please. Looks like I need to plug in my phone. Give me a moment, please. Just 1 more moment while I get you plugged in. And we should be good to go. All right, I think we're good to go on TikTok. Then pretty soon I'll have to plug in YouTube. Let's move this out of the way now. Let's turn the camera back on. Let's start cooking some lahma. Let's see, do I have any recording lines? Splash olive oil, okay. Let's lower this just a little tiny bit. I think this should be okay with that positioning. right, now we just let this cook for a few minutes on the first side, and then we're going to give it a flip and let it cook on the second side. We're only going to flip it one time. Let's see. While we're waiting on this, back to the bechamel. Look good, smelling good, everything good. In about 1 to 2 minutes, we'll give this a flip. Let's see the time. 6:53. So no later than 6:55, we will give these burgers a nice flip. So in these last 30 seconds or so, before I flip this in another pan, I'm not going to do this on main camera. I'm just going to do it on my main stove back here, like off to the side. I'm just going to add some semna to it, melt it down, and then I'm going to be toasting the buns this way. And in terms of like the final cut of the recipe video, I'm not going to be showing it in the recipe video because it's just simply toasting some buns. I think everyone can figure out how to toast some buns. All right. 6:55. Let's go ahead and get ready for the flip. Second side also gets sea salt and black pepper. So in the other pan I have off camera, top buns, bottom buns, just like that. We're just gonna let them toast for a few minutes. We're going to let this cook for a few minutes as well. I can just go there for now. Just a couple more minutes for the lahma. And we will be all set. Let me check on the buns so I don't accidentally forget. And they quickly burn. They still need to develop some color. Flip the lahma only one time. Let's make sure everything's good. Okay, lahma's in focus. I'm in focus. Everything's good to go. Let's check on the buns. Starting to get some color around the edge. Okay. Okay. And okay. So another like minute or so. We'll take the buns will be toasted, the lahma will be all set. The bechamel sauce back here is all set as well. And then also the tomato sauce is all set. This is homemade tomato sauce and some fried pasta. Yalla bismillah. It basically tastes like tortilla chips in a way, but thicker. This is going to be interesting on how it turns out on the burger. Let's go ahead and kill the heat on this. Check the buns. Okay. Okay. It like only wants to toast around like the rim, the edge of the bun. Whatever. It is what it is. They're toasted. Let's kill the heat. I'm just adding just a tiny splash to the milk. And I'm going to kill the heat on the milk too. Or not on the milk, on the bechamel sauce. In 3, 2, 1. Now I'm just giving it a nice whisk. Everything's looking really good, with the exception of my kitchen is a complete and total disaster from this point on. After the fridge to the sink, it's just a mess, but it's okay. It is what it is. All right, I need to move this out of the way. All right, how can I do this? I need to make space on my stove too. All right, let's get the buns out of here. All right, that's good. That's good. Move the buns out of the way. All right. Need this cutting board. This pan. Go over here. This can go just on my main stove. All done with this. This can move out of the way. Slide this stuff temporarily out of the way. Let's clean up. All right. Countertop is clean. Now, let's bring this over. Oops. Let's lower this camera way down. Like so. Bam and bam. Let's see. Let's do it like that instead. Good enough. All right. Need. This, I'll line it up like this. This. All right. Toasted bun, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's do this. Oops. Homemade tomato sauce. So the burger kind of like balled up a little bit. I forgot to poke a hole in it, whatever it is, what it is. So let's get creative with this. Oh boy, oh boy. I'm gonna have to make one off camera, like after this with that last ball of meat and get the patty like right so that way it actually stays flat and this part is not so problematic. I could just get that should be okay. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh, the sink's over here. This is not going how I pictured it in my mind. All right. So here's what I'll do. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Because the way I pictured it in my mind went a little bit differently. So the issue that I'm having right now is because, so the burger patties that I cooked, they essentially, they shrunk and not like balled up, but kind of like curved to the point where, here, let me show you guys, to where I wanted the macarona, the pasta to sit on it better. So I'll give you guys this one, and then with the last one that I got to cook, I'm just going to do that off cameras. and go from there. Then I'll record, myself assembling the burger, and I'll do my intro and outro and go from there. So you guys really won't miss much. Um, so with that being said, so in a way, this live won't be as long as all my other ones. So here, let me do this. Let me turn off this camera. So quick improvise, won't hurt anyone. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is my variation of a bechamel burger. For the video, for the final cut of the video, hopefully it does look better than this, to where the macarona does not fall off of it and actually stays on. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen. This was inspired by Egypt's macarona bechamel, which is one of their classic bechamel pasta dishes, where I essentially just took it and turned it into burger form. So yalla bismillah. So we got the homemade tomato sauce, the burger patty, the lahm, aka lahma, the onions, the fried pasta, and then the bechamel sauce, all on a brioche bun. Yalla bismillah. Overall, I think that burger was amazing. The only thing that like I can't wrap my mind around is the fried pasta. In terms of flavor, it's good. It's just completely different texture, like just beyond crunchy. And like for me personally, when it comes to a burger, I think personally like something as crunchy as this on a burger. But in terms of flavor, overall, I think it was good. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redo with the last lahma ball that I have, like the uncooked one. I'm going to go ahead and give it another go because as you can see, like the cooked lahma, it kind of like balled up, like curled up, whatever you want to call it. I wanted it to be more flat. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Instead, so that way I can also conclude this live for you guys as well, and I can get everything that I need done since I essentially have one more one more chance to go. But that essentially concludes today's live. Thank you to everyone who joined in today, where I made this bechamel burger. Overall, it turned out good. I just wanted to make a better one in terms of presentation for like the final cut of the recipe video. If you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're not a channel member, click that join button. It is one of the best ways to support what I do here in this kitchen. And if you're not following me on my TikTok, go ahead and hit that follow as well. All of my recipes, you can find them on my website, theegyptiancook.com. It is all linked in my bio. That is where you will find all of my recipes, anything and anything and everything in terms of the Egyptian Cook. You can find it all on my website, and it will connect you to all my other social media platforms as well, where my username is at the Egyptian Cook. No symbols, no numbers, no special characters, just the Egyptian Cook. TheEgyptianCook. Well, other than that, thank you to everybody who joined in today for my, 47-hour long live where I made a bechamel burger. And as I said earlier in my live, what's coming next? I will not be going live for this recipe where I will be making termis. I honestly have no idea what type of bean this is in English. I just can't think of the name right now. But termis is essentially a really popular snack that I would enjoy in Scandaria, which is the city of Alexandria in Egypt. It's like a 5 to 7 day process to prepare this, which is why I will not be going live for that. It's essentially like the preparation process. You cook it for a little bit, like about 20-ish minutes or so. And then after that, you just let it soak for days, for those 5 to 7 days. And each day you swap out the water and you replace it with fresh water. And then on the final day of preparation, that's where you add a whole lot of salt to it. And you essentially eat these like as a snack with your hand. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple process. It's just very time consuming. Kind of like, when you're pickling something minus there's no vinegar involved. Like this is not going to be pickled. But it is going to be a very salty snack. And in Scandaria, like the street cart vendors, they would sell this like by the bag, like a much smaller bag. Like think of like a Ziploc bag or like a lunch bag, like something of that size. Put in a cup of termis in it, and then you just simply eat it. You pop it out of the bean, out of the skin, and you just eat it just like that. It was one of my favorite snacks when I was in Scandaria. So that will also be coming soon, but not in terms of me going live. But other than that, thank you to everybody. Oh, and the full recipe video for this bechamel burger will post to my YouTube channel exclusively for my YouTube members by tomorrow, Monday night at the very latest. For everybody else who is not a member, it will not post. They will not have access to it until the following week or so. But other than that, thank you to everybody who joined into today's live. I am Mohammed the Egyptian Cook, and that concludes tonight's live where we made a bechamel burger. Thank you to everybody and have a wonderful night.